You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Athan Hristodulu.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Greeks Gridiron. I am Athan Hristodulu. Just to let you guys know, I'm kind of dealing with like a cold thing right now, so if I sound off or anything or a little bit sluggish, that would be the reason why. Week 6 is done and done. We're doing power rankings today as we get set for Week 7. The Bills last night going down in dramatic fashion to the Tennessee Titans, who actually make a pretty big leap in the leaderboards today because of their win last night. But I'm excited to get into the video with you guys. A lot of teams are moving around on the power rankings this week. The bottom teams kind of shuffled around a little bit. The top teams pretty solid minus the Bills. Not a ton of movement up top. A lot of teams kind of sliding up because some big names moving up and down the boards. So let's get into it, shall we? As always, if you like what we're doing, like, comment, share, sub, and let's start talking. Now, if you have not seen this before, to my left or to your right, I don't know, we have our leaderboards here. How I'm going to do this today is we're going to start with the first 7 teams, and then from there we'll reveal the remaining in groups of 5. So with the first group of 7 teams up on the leaderboard popping up now, at the very bottom of the rankings, we have the Texans still sitting at number 32. They got completely blown out by the Colts. At this point, you know, the Texans do have a win, but I do think that at this point in the season, they are probably the worst team in the league just based off the production that they've had offensively and the lack of production that they've had on defense as well. Then from there, excuse me, sitting at number 31, we have the New York Giants. They got completely blown out by the Rams this week. A lot of blowouts this past week. A very, probably the least competitive week I've seen in quite some time, as every single 1 o'clock game minus one game was pretty much a blowout city. The Giants really struggling to dealing with all these injuries that they have there. The offense really missing out on Saquon Barkley. You know, they're in such a bad spot, and it's not necessarily their fault that they're so low on this leaderboard. It's just that injury bug has bit them and has bit them good. Then at the number 30 spot, we have the Detroit Lions. You know, they slipped down a couple of spaces. They were looking really competitive, and then this week they just kind of got completely destroyed. You know, could not really get anything going. The Bengals just manhandled them from start to finish, and I think that really showed the separation between how good the Bengals are and some other teams, and also just where the Detroit Lions actually are. Then at number 29, the New York Jets. They didn't have anything going on this week. I think they did. So they actually moved up a spot because I moved down some of the other teams, the Giants and the Jets, or not the Giants, excuse me. Yeah, the Giants and the Lions there. So the Jets actually move up a spot despite not having a game this week, just because of the way the other teams fell down the leaderboard. They're sitting at 29. The Dolphins slip a little bit far. They went from 27 down to, I guess only to 28. I thought I had them higher than that last week. Tough loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. The Jaguars obviously getting their first first win of the year against the Dolphins this weekend in London is what I was trying to say, which they are sitting at number 27, and that is reflected there. The Miami Dolphins are having a hard time, even with Tua now back in the fold, just really getting anything going offensively. The defense was, struggling. They were missing both their starting cornerbacks, and they ended up losing a tough loss with a crazy couple of long field goals, because that first 54-yarder, that right kick towards the end of regulation, was literally wide right and somehow scooped its way into the bottom right corner of the field goal post there. I was really surprised that he even went in. I thought he missed it when he kicked it. Then the Jaguars, obviously, stroke of luck in London. They're basically their home away from home. They were able to squeak out the win against the Dolphins, so they're at set 27. And then the Atlanta Falcons did not have a game this week. They are sitting at number 26. They don't move on the leaderboard. They stay put where they are as the number 26 team in the league. Now, for the next group of 5, 25 through 21. At 25, we have the Denver Broncos. They are actually slipping down one spot, taking another loss. They started out at 3-0 and are now sitting at 0-3. I actually picked them to win this week's game against the Raiders. Could not do it. They lost 34-24, and honestly, with the amount of turnovers they have going on there, that team is supposed to be a conservative, protect the football type of offense with a really stingy defense, and the offense was just breaking the defense's back turnover after turnover after turnover for those 4 that they had this week. So they slipped down a spot. Then from there, we have the Seattle Seahawks, who looked pretty competitive against the Steelers. I want to say that the Steelers were kind of just shooting themselves in the foot, though, more so than the Seahawks were being effective. Geno Smith was there as their starting quarterback the first time Russell Wilson has missed a game in his career. And, the Steelers started out hot. 14-0 lead in that Sunday Night Football game, and then from there, I don't know what happened to the offense, but they just stopped pounding the ball, and like Najee Harris is literally the engine that is keeping that offense moving, and I really hope they don't run him into the ground his rookie season trying to keep, Ben Roethlisberger like going and chugging along. I'm not sure how much that injury is bothering him, but he is not quite the thrower he used to be, obviously, and I think that injury might be hampering him even more than we might realize. The offense is really slow, but the defense is really good. The Seattle Seahawks, on the other hand, I mean, the offense is going to be in a real tough spot without Russell Wilson now going forward, and then on top of that, the defense is just allowing teams to move the ball at will and not really putting up much of a fight, so I have the Seahawks sitting at 24. Then coming in at number 23, we're looking at the Indianapolis Colts. They move up a couple of spots here after a dominant win over the Houston Texans. They were able to put up, I believe, 31 points in that game against the Houston Texans there. Defense looked great. Offense looked great. Paris Campbell and T.Y. Hilton were there playing. Paris Campbell got hurt. Sure enough, T.Y. Hilton came back from an injury, and he injured something as well. So hopefully they're okay. Paris Campbell sounds like he's going to miss some time, but the team finally looks like they're starting to find an identity. Jonathan Taylor is looking like one of the best running backs in the league behind that offensive line they have over there in Indianapolis, and it is exciting to see. Then at number 22, the Washington football team. They are falling and falling fast as we go through week after week. The defense continues to disappoint. Taylor Heineke is looking less and less like a starter, while they just kind of, it seems like at this point, they're kind of twiddling their thumbs, waiting for Ryan Fitzpatrick to come back from that hip subluxation or whatever it was that he has going on there. But I'm really concerned about this Washington team. They're not really getting quite the pressure that they should be, considering the first-round talent they have on their defensive line. They were so impressive and basically what carried the team in the later half of last year and have been virtually non-existent. They got a few sacks this week, but have just really disappointed to this point. Then at number 21, another team that started out 3-0 and is now 3-3, and honestly, I'm really disappointed in, because I really thought that this team was legit out of the get-go. They're playing such great defense. The offense was winning in such unique ways, and now it just looks like the uniqueness of that offense is kind of run its course and is no longer. I think defenses are realizing, all right, if we just bottle up Sam Darnold, he really is not a great passer, and he can't get much going through the air, and the receivers are not helping him with the amount of drops that they have going on there. The defense's back keeps breaking because the offense just can't get anything going, and I just don't know if I really believe in this Panthers team anymore. I did have them ranked pretty low in my initial power rankings, and also I think I had them ranked 4th in the NFC South when I was doing divisional rankings prior to the season, and they're looking more like that team that has a lot of rookies, a lot of inexperience going on through that roster, and it's really holding this team back. Now, for the next group, we have 20 through 16. We have at number 20, the Philadelphia Eagles. Tough loss this week to the Buccaneers. The score made the game look closer than it actually was. It was all Buccaneers all night. They were really dominating throughout the majority of the game. Tom Brady, not quite the impressive. He's not quite the impressive game he's had compared to the rest of his season, but he still had a pretty good, solid game. 200 and some odd yards, handful of touchdowns there, 3 tutties to be exact. But the Philadelphia Eagles just continue to struggle offensively. Their defense is not looking too hot either, but they're not the worst team in the league. There is some hope that they can get some things. Nick Sirianni, he was an offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts, so I know a little bit more about him. Very curious decision as their head coach, and after watching him through these first 6 weeks, I just don't know if this is really the right spot for him at this moment in his career. There feels like there's like this wave of young head coaches kind of rolling through the league right now, and I understand that whatever they think is like the right idea, but I don't know if Nick Sirianni is the fit for this offense and what they have over there in Philadelphia. At number 19, we have the Minnesota Vikings. Big win for them this week over the Panthers. This was a game that was it should not have been as competitive as it was, just based off of how the Panthers' inability to move the football was through the entirety of the game, and their defensive special teams were doing all the scoring. Meanwhile, the Vikings put up monster numbers on offense through the entire game, and realistically, that game should have been a bigger win for the Minnesota Vikings, but they got the win regardless. Offense looked really good. Defense looked pretty solid as well, going up against the Panthers offense that can't really move the football right now. So shout out to the Vikings. You guys are sitting at number 19. Then at 18, Steelers move up about 3 or 4 spots here. Obviously, big win over on Sunday Night Football against the Seattle Seahawks. They moved up 3 spaces on my list, more so because some other teams had to move down. And if I was to just pick, like, they would probably only move 1 spot with this win because they squeaked out the victory against a Seattle Seahawks team that overall defensively is lesser than they are, and offensively, because of the loss of Russell Wilson, I would say DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett maybe like even things out a bit on that side of the thing, on that side of the ball, but I don't know. The Steelers are a better team, and that should have been a bigger win for them. They should not have come down to like this overtime 23-20 nonsense that they had going on Sunday night. But nonetheless, they won. They move up a few spots on the board. Then coming at number 17, despite the fact that they actually lost this week, I do have the Bears. Oh, no, they're actually sitting at number 17. I was moving a lot of teams around making up this power rankings this week, trying to figure out where everyone should go. The Bears actually sit at number 17. Tough loss, but they were pretty competitive. I think Justin Fields is growing into the role as a quarterback, but he needs to relax on some of the errant throws he has. He had 2 really big deep balls that he just tossed into the end zone. One was picked. The other one was not because the player ended up stepping out of bounds, even though I really think they could have argued that was a catch inbounds. Needs to make better decisions, take care of the ball better. If he can do so, I really think that this offense will start to match the output that this defense has, because the defense was rather impressive. It was just more so that, the offense went 5 straight drives with either punts or turnovers. That's not really going to help your defense out and keep them off the field so they can rest. And your defense can only do so much if they're on the field, after 3 to 6 plays minimum. Then at number 16, the New England Patriots, I believe they sit where they were last week as well on my power rankings. Yes, they do. They stay at number 16. Very close loss to the Dallas Cowboys there. They really took them right to the absolute limit, going all the way into overtime with them. I was very surprised at how well the defense played the Dallas Cowboys up until towards the end of the game, and the offensive output was impressive. They put up their highest scoring total of the year. Granted, against it. Oh my goodness. Not feeling too well. Granted, against the Dallas defense that has, they're showing flaws week in and week out, and I honestly feel like the Dallas Cowboys defense might be regressing a little bit right now. I was kind of impressed with how they were doing at first, but now considering they let the Patriots, put up as much as they did, I'm concerned about the Cowboys. We'll talk about that in a second. But the Patriots overall looked really good. They were a handful of plays away from winning the game, as they have been for a few games. This is a team that is 2-4 right now that could very easily be 4-2 or 5-1 with just a few plays going their way. And the game against Miami, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this Dallas Cowboys game from this week. Now, 15 through 11, the San Francisco 49ers, I believe they slipped down even though they didn't play this week just because of a few other, they slipped down a couple of spots just because of some other teams impressing me this week. So, again, not much to say about them. They didn't play. They do drop a couple of spots, but only because of the other teams that are moving up on the board. At number 14, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, who last week they were sitting at 14 as well, so they do not move on the list despite their win. This was a game that they should have been winning, and they did win, and it took them quite a while offensively to really get things going, and the score kind of deceiving about how far apart the game actually was. I'm going to say that, the Chiefs got the win. This was a must-win game for them. We talked about that in the lead up to the week, but realistically, this should have been more of a blowout win for them. The defense finally clamping down on somebody for the first time all year. 5 weeks in, and that defense was looking terrible, and finally they were able to come up to a Washington football team and be able to at least be a little bit more effective on the defensive side of things, make a few stops, and hold their opponents to only 13 points. Now, at number 13, the Tennessee Titans. This is a team that I've been pretty critical of, just because of the fact they lost to the Jets a few weeks ago, and I was really concerned with them. They got blown out by the Cardinals. The team was looking really bad, but they're a lot closer to full strength now, and they're starting to look really good. They got a massive win over the Bills last night, which was incredible. That game was awesome. These primetime games this year, man, have just not disappointed in the very least. So shout out to the Tennessee Titans. They got a big win over a very good Buffalo Bills team, a contender, a Super Bowl contender at that. They fly up the leaderboard. Last week, I had them sitting at number 20. They're moving up 7 spots. They're the biggest mover in the leaderboards for this week. And I'm just overall very impressed. Julio Jones had a crazy circus catch. Josh Allen, towards the end of the first half, had a crazy touchdown pass to put them up 20-17. That game was so good. But the Titans, so impressive. The defense really did a good job. They kind of did what the Pittsburgh Steelers did in week 1. They were talking about it on Monday Night Football as well, really forcing Josh Allen to roll to his left, so he had to like throw across his body. He's not as comfortable rolling out to the left side. He always wants to roll out to the right for his right side dominant arm, but ultimately, they found the recipe for success. They got the win. They put up the numbers. Derrick Henry is an absolute freak of nature. He has the 21.8 miles per hour. It's just like the fastest speed a ball carrier has been recorded at. The dude is literally 250 pounds at what, 6'4", and he's running 4.3 speed. I don't know. The dude doesn't make sense. He's like a cheat code for the Tennessee Titans, but he's a person, and so you can't really disqualify him for that. At number 12, the Raiders, I don't believe they move on my power rankings list this week. They sit right at there where they should be. They beat a floundering Denver Broncos team that has, at this point, started to pretty much disappoint extremely, starting out 3-0 and then falling to 3-3. Coming off of what was a wild week press-wise, losing their head coach and everything with John Gruden, I'm very surprised at how well the Raiders were prepared, how aggressive they came out. They really were just like, you know what, with everything going on, does not matter. We're still in this. We're still a contender, and they're 4-2 now. Shout out to the Raiders. They were one of those teams that started out 3-0 and could have fallen to that 3-3 mark, but, they punched adversity right in the face. They got a win, exactly what they needed to do. They're sitting at number 12. Saints did not move in the leaderboard. They're still sitting at number 11. They did not play this week, so we'll leave them at that. And now we'll jump into our top 10. 10 through 6. At number 10, we have the Cleveland Browns. They slip a few spots after their complete blowout loss that they had to the Arizona Cardinals. I don't want to drop them too far just because they are dealing with a ton of injuries. Kareem Hunt was playing injured. Nick Chubb was out. Something is going on with Baker Mayfield, and I think it's really starting to show up. Granted, he played really well last week when they got into that shootout with the Chargers, but I'm concerned about Baker Mayfield's health. He took a really hard hit at one point. J.J. Watt was even seen, kind of like checking him out, making sure he was okay after J.J. Watt sacked him. And something's going on with that arm, and I think it's really affecting him, and I'm worried it might end up costing Baker Mayfield the season due to how serious the injury might actually be. But injuries are really giving the Browns a hard time right now. At number 9, Bengals. They had the Detroit Lions. They move up a spot here mainly because of the Browns taking a really bad loss, but also because they went up against a lesser team, a team that they should be dominating, that they did dominate, and they had Joe Burrow out in the fourth quarter, not even playing the QB role because they were so confident in where they were. The Bengals are looking really good. I'm really excited about what they're doing. I love Joe Burrow. I love his style of play, and I just love everything the Bengals are doing. Their offensive line is exceeding expectations. The defense exceeding expectations. The Burrow-Jamar Chase connection is real. I'm eating my words, scrutinizing the Bengals, should have taken a offensive lineman in the draft instead of Chase. Chase has looked like the money pick for them, and I love what's going on over there in Cincinnati. Bengals, you guys should be excited for not only this season, but the future ahead as well. At number 8, we have the Chargers, who took a really bad loss to the Baltimore Ravens. They were ranked at number 5. It was honestly the story that I kind of painted out when I was doing my preview. They were the 32nd ranked defense in rushing, and, the Ravens, 187 yards, I think, was the total that they had by the end of the game. Lamar Jackson did not have his greatest game against this defense, but man, dude, the Chargers' rush defense looked abysmal. And on top of that, completely just lost in the passing game. Herbert really struggled. I'm not super concerned about this because I think that this was a learning experience. You had inexperience going against experience in Staley, the young head coach, going up against John Harbaugh, an experienced vet who I don't think gets the credit he deserves. And then you have, the young quarterback going up against the older, a little bit more experienced, already won an MVP quarterback. So like I talked about in the game previews, this was one of those things where I thought the Ravens' experience was going to win out in the game, and it did. Ultimately, the Chargers, I still think, are set up for success. I think they might have gotten a little bit exposed here, but let's see how they rebound and go through the next few weeks before I consider dropping them out of the top 10. At number 7, Cowboys, they were in a really tight game with the Patriots. Like I said, the offense, dude, is so good. They can just move the ball at will. CeeDee Lamb is a freaking problem. Especially towards the end of the game there, it just seemed like Dak Prescott kept dialing up his number, and the Patriots could not do anything about it. I had the Cowboys sitting at number 7 last week, and they still sit at number 7 here this week, mostly because I don't think the game, if they're as good as everyone wants to believe, I think that they should have played the Patriots a little bit better. I don't think that they should have allowed the Patriots to put up their highest point total of the season. The defense, I think, is getting exposed. Trayvon Diggs, while he is doing fantastic with all of his interceptions, is getting burned because of the aggressive play style he has. If he can clean that up, dude, Trayvon Diggs has the potential to literally be the best cornerback in the league. And just because he has the highest interception total right now, I don't believe makes him the best. He is just playing overly aggressive football. He's letting up a lot of yards per game, and he's just, he's able to sniff out the picks. If he can clean up his game a little bit, he could be leaps and bounds the best corner in the league, and he's very close. I don't think he's quite there. There's a handful of cornerbacks that I would take over him, but he is making a statement, and I will say that, but he has to clean up his game. He can't be taking a pick six to the house and then getting torched up top, the game prior. I know the safety was kind of out of position, but if you are an elite corner and you want to pretend that you're the number one corner in the league just because you have the most picks, and you want to say Trayvon Diggs Island and whatever, Darrelle Revis only let really Randy Moss burn him like that, and Randy Moss is Randy Moss. So let's be real here. You need to be able to lock down your man if you are on him. And he even took credit for the burn that, Kendrick Bourne went right after and took to the house after he pick sixed him. So Cowboys are literally, they are this close. They are this close to being a flat-out Super Bowl contender. The defense has to clean some things up. I don't want to say they're a Super Bowl contender yet. Definitely probably going to make the playoffs. I don't know about Super Bowl contender. At number 6, we have the Buffalo Bills, obviously taking that tough loss to the Tennessee Titans. This game really came down to the wire. They dropped down about 4 spots because this was a game that I really think, the Buffalo Bills should have had in the bag. And the defense, after looking so dominant for so many weeks, I think started to maybe read the newspaper clippings a little too much and start feeling themselves a little too much. Kind of disappointed in the play of the defense because the defense was considered the best going into this game. And after having a game like this, I still think they are one of the best defenses in the league, but they really struggled against the Tennessee Titans team that if they're going to be completely healthy going forward, or they're going to get healthier and healthier going forward, they're going to end up being a problem in this league. The Chiefs, if they are able to figure things out, can continue to be a problem in this league. The Bengals are looking really good. The Ravens are looking really good. There's, a lot of AFC teams that have a lot of offensive firepower, and that defense can't be crumbling against the better offenses of the league. Now, to reveal our top 5, and I probably sound like I'm getting worse. I feel like I'm sounding worse and worse as I go through this video, so hopefully we can wrap this up quickly here. At number 5, I have the Green Bay Packers, dominating win over the Bears. Probably should have won by a little bit more, but again, 24-14. Aaron Rodgers, he said what he said. He owns the Bears, and Bears fans, I'm sorry to say, but I mean, I don't have any I don't have a side to pick on this one. Aaron Rodgers has owned the Packers the majority of his career. I know it hurts to hear it, but it is what it is. Aaron Rodgers did a great job. Three scores, 2 through the air, 1 on the ground. I mean, he did his thing and looked great doing it. The Bears offense, when it gets together, will be an issue. Their defense is great, but man, the Packers, goddamn, do they look good. They're rolling, and I said it yesterday in my recap video. I am surprised at how well this team is doing, despite the looming cloud of Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers sitting over their head through this season. At number 4, Baltimore Ravens looked absolutely amazing. Lamar Jackson, not the best game he's had, but still effective. It was the ground game, the running backs that were really just grinding out the yards against the 32-ranked defense in the Chargers, and the defense of the Ravens shutting down what has been a pretty prolific Chargers offense. Shout out to what John Harbaugh's got going on over there. The defense looks great. Offense can win one of 3 ways every single game if they need to. I mean, if they can beat you through the air, they can beat you with Lamar Jackson running, they can beat you with their running backs running. I mean, it's pretty insane the amount of ways that they can beat a team and come out with a win. Lamar Jackson has been so impressive through the season. He finally has a down game, and the running game is able to bail him out anyways. So it is what it is. Lamar Jackson's looking great. At number 3, Tampa Bay Buccaneers move up from number 4 due to the loss of the Bills mainly. They got it done against the Philadelphia Eagles team. Again, I said the score was a little bit closer when we were talking the Eagles. Score was a little bit closer than I think the actual game was itself. It was all Buccaneers. I don't think there was any real point in the game where I felt like the Buccaneers were going to lose. They were dominating from beginning to end there as they went through. So shout out to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers staying at the tops of the leaderboards, doing their thing. I mean, they're 5-1 at this point. Can't really, can't be unhappy with that. I'm sure Tom Brady wasn't too thrilled by his lesser performance that everyone's calling it. It was still a pretty good game for him, but whatever you want to say. At number 2, we have the Rams, who look dominant. They completely thwarted the New York Giants at home. They were celebrating their 2011 championship team, and I mean, from start to finish, it was all Rams all day. Cooper Kupp is phenomenal. He is literally one of the best wide receivers in the league. I won't say he's the best because I think that belongs to Adams or Hopkins, whoever you are, depending on the week. But Cooper Kupp is definitely in that conversation of top 5, maybe even top 4 or 3. I'm so impressed with just everything that this Rams offense is doing. Matthew Stafford finally getting the recognition he deserves, man. That guy has been a stud in Detroit and was not the reason that team was ever losing. He was the one reason that they were able to win double-digit games a couple of seasons. So Matt Stafford finally getting the recognition he deserves, and the defense finally stepping up. 4 sacks, 4 turnovers. That is what I expected from this Rams defense. They were going up against a struggling Giants offense right now with a plethora of injuries, but they did what they should and was take advantage of all of that and be dominant and show that they were, this is the number 1 defense we were last year. That's what I expected to be seeing from them going forward as well. And then sitting at number 1, against all odds, the Arizona Cardinals, man. I mean, it is what it is. They are just so good. I was worried with them missing some of their, coaching personnel, not having Cliff Kingsbury there. I was very concerned that, they were going to end up losing this game because of that. But, overcoming adversity, this team has so much talent all over the field. I am so impressed with what the Arizona Cardinals are doing week in and week out. They just, there's never really a point where you feel like they're going to lose aside from that game against the Titans. I feel like the Cardinals have just been rolling. They have dominated the bad teams. They have dominated some of the better teams, and they've won the tight games that they needed to win. They're 6-0, and there's not really much else you need to say about them. They are just that damn good. But that is my power rankings for the week. I appreciate you all for listening in. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Thank you all for watching. As always, I am Athan Hristodulu. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what we're doing. Have a good rest of your Tuesday, and I'll catch you guys Thursday for a power rankings video.